Today's episode of The Sit Down with Scott Dion Brown is brought to you by Jeanette McKenzie, Realtor at Forest Hill Signature, and Jewelry Forever at jewelryforever.ca. Enjoy the show.
Broadcasting live from Glenmore Record Studios in Toronto, this is The Sit Down with Scott Dion Brown, your Sunday morning talk show with interesting guests, live musical performances, and the most fun you can fit in your coffee cup. Hosted by Scott Dion Brown and Regine Alaina, this is The Sit Down with Scott Dion Brown.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A beautiful, actually the sky does look blue. It's a beautiful Sunday morning in the city of Toronto, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 168 of The Sit Down with Scott Dion Brown. Hello, jellyfish. Welcome back. How are you? And hello to you all who are tuning in on this fine Sunday. I am your host, Scott Dion Brown, and I'm joined by the greatest co-host in all the galaxy, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only,
Regine Alaina. Happy Sunday, not Super Bowl, Valentine's Day Sunday. Hello, Scott and jellyfish.
Hello. Yeah, Super Bowl Sunday was last week. Valentine's Day was last week. Mm-hmm. Although we actually should, well, first, how are you? How was your week? How's everything?
I'm good. Been a very busy week, work-wise and wedding planning-wise, but that's my life right now. How is your week?
It's good. I'm tired.
Why, Scott? Tell us.
Yesterday I had my, oh, hey, good morning, Chungus. What's up? Hi, Scott. How you doing? I'm doing very well. Hello. So last night we had, yesterday, I should say, me, my dad, and my brother, we had our annual skating day, which we couldn't do last year because of COVID restrictions. But what we do every year is the three of us, we meet up with our skates, and we go to 5 different outdoor rinks around the city of Toronto. So we just go to a rink, skate for a while, go into the subway, go to the next one, skate for a while, go to the next rink, and over the course of the whole day, and we stop for drinks and all this stuff along the way, and it's a lovely day. And so we did that yesterday, but I'm really tired today.
But yesterday was so windy.
Yeah. Yes, it was. And it made for some interesting conditions. So the 5 rinks we went to, we started at Mel Lastman Square, which is usually where we start, in North York. And it was okay. It was, once I got on the ice, it was actually quite comfortable, skating some laps, but it was cold, and it was pretty windy. Then we went into Starbucks there, grabbed some breakfast sandwiches, headed downtown. We went to the Barbara Ann Hall skating trail, which is at College Park. It's like Yonge and College area. Yeah. That one was really windy. It's like I think what it is that just where certain buildings are, the way they're positioned, sometimes it just creates a wind tunnel. Like, there's some parts, like even near where I live, there's an area where if I walk around a certain corner, I just know I'm always going to get blasted by wind. And it's usually, I guess, however buildings are set up in a certain way.
Yeah.
So the Barbara Ann Hall skate path is like that. It's a lovely little rink. It's like a little trail, it's a skating trail. And did I say Barbara Ann Hall? Barbara Ann Scott. That's the name of it. Barbara Ann Scott Ski Trail. And there's one path one part of it where you turn and you're just getting blasted by wind. And because the snow on the ground was pretty powdery, it's like every time the wind would blow, yeah, there'd be like
snow globe.
Yeah, there's like fog basically of snow, right?
Yeah.
So that one was rough. Then we went to City Hall, Nathan Phillips Square. that one was actually quite nice. It wasn't really windy at all. It was cold, but I didn't mind the cold. But I guess again, it just depends where it's sitting and how it's situated. So that was a very pleasant place to skate. Actually, we were there for quite a while because it was quite nice. Fairly crowded, but still like pretty good. Skated there for a bit. Then we went to the Bentway, which is the Cools Trail underneath the Gardner. You know, I don't know if you've been there before, but
No,
the Bentway skating trail. Only thing that sucks is that place always has an outdoor bar where you can get a drink and sit with fire pits and stuff. But like because of COVID, they don't have any of that. They just had a little snack bar that was like selling like little snacks, but nothing you could sit down. There wasn't anywhere to sit down. Like they weren't encouraging anybody to sit and actually chat with each other, which was kind of a letdown. Also, weirdly, of all the rinks we went to, the Bentway was the only one where staff there were asking you to wear a mask while you're skating.
Oh.
Which, I mean, I get it. I get it to an extent. I think it's just maybe it was especially for a little bit earlier in the pandemic, but it was weird. It's rare that I've been somewhere where they want you to wear a mask outdoors. So, but anyway, whatever. We did what they said. But because they weren't serving drinks and doing that stuff, we weren't there very long. We just did our thing. And then we finished up at Harborfront Center.
Nice.
Except I didn't know this, but apparently it's been closed. The main rink has been shut down since last year, the 2020 season.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and they've built a temporary rink next to it where there's like a skating trail. Yeah, there's like, so you've got the main rink,
Yeah.
but you can see it's just basically melted. It's not well, it was frozen, but it was not maintained. There was snow all over it. And next to it, they've put a secondary rink that's underneath. You know where the Harborfront? Have you been to the Harborfront Center? You know the big stage?
Yep. We
They
did a
built the
fashion
rink.
show there together.
There you go. They built the rink like right in front of the stage, so you're actually like skating underneath the big thing. But it's too small, like especially the skating trail portion. So there's like a part that's a rink, and then a part that disconnects from a skating trail, and it's like too skinny. So two people skating holding hands are blocking the whole trail.
And there's 3 of you holding hands.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, no, problem is, so at the Bentway, it's a bit wider. So like if there's somebody slower, I can just go around them. But at the Harborfront one, I just found myself constantly having to stop.
That's frustrating.
Yeah. But it's pretty to be right on the water.
So okay, so out of all of them,
Yep.
which one would you go back to again?
From this year, it would have to be Nathan Phillips Square.
But
Because
in previous years? Oh, sorry, finish that and then.
Well, yeah, because Nathan Phillips Square was the only one that wasn't blasted with wind. And it's a nice large size rink. So even when there are slow skaters, there's lots of places to move around. And I'm a fast skater. Okay. But like there's more room to move around, and it's very scenic there, right? You're right at Nathan Phillips Square. The Toronto sign's there, City Hall is there. It's really nice. I used to love Harborfront, but so actually I looked into it. So apparently Harborfront is closed. So I found an article from 2020. Yeah, December 2020. Harborfront Center is canceled, but it's not because of COVID. So apparently what it is the operators had hoped the rink would open the rink following coronavirus safety procedures, but the rink's operating system has finally failed after 37 years of operation.
Wow.
Yeah, so the system ensures a consistent rink surface. So they're planning to replace it. The replacement of the system will be done as part of a broader life cycle management plan. It'll upgrade the entire rink, including removing the concrete foundation, replacing all the pipes. So it's basically just 37 years old. It broke down.
Is that what happens when you turn 37 years old? Your pipes and everything just stop.
I guess that's what happens. Yeah. The majority of the work is planned to happen in spring 2021. Well, we're in 2022 now, so it's not done. Yeah, and so this is the article I just found about the new waterfront skating rink, the Ice Loop, that we checked out, but it's not nearly as good. Like the Harborfront rink is much larger, and so it's fine temporary. Like I was worried. See, I found all this out afterwards, but when I was there, I was like, I hope this isn't the new rink because this sucks. But it's just temporary. It was just okay, fine, I can.
Maybe next year.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope by next year they've got that rink fixed again. So my favorite, so yeah, Nathan Phillips of this year's Nathan Phillips was my favorite rink.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, I really like Harborfront, and I really like the Bentway, but without the nice drinks and the fire pits, Bentway's going way down on the list.
I think you just like the experience while you're there more so, like the
Yeah.
experience and the atmosphere. Got it.
Well, I mean, that's all of it because, like, you know, everywhere else is just ice, right? Like, it's just ice. I like skating trails. Have you ever been on a skating? Do you skate?
I've been to the Nathan Phillips Square one. I've been there a few times, but I'm not the best skater. Like, I remember in elementary school where we had to go skating as a class, and that was the only time I really skated. I do like rollerblading though, so basically the same thing.
If you can rollerblade, you can skate. Yeah. Well, so have you ever actually been on one of those skating trails that they are?
No.
They're pretty neat. In fact, I've heard there are some north of Toronto that are much larger, and they're set up like in the woods.
Ooh, see, that would be cool.
Yeah. Well, that's something I'd like to check that out because I haven't done that yet. But maybe that could be a future skating day because the idea of that sounds really nice to me. I like that idea. But anyway, annual skating day. It was nice because last year we tried to make it happen, but because of COVID, there were so many more restrictions on everything. So I remember the rinks that were opened, you had to like register in advance, and so you had to go on their website, say, okay, this is the time that we're going to be there, and you have like whatever time block. The whole thing was just a lot more complicated, and because we're hitting 5 rinks in one day, and you don't know how long things will take to get there, or how long you want to spend at each one, it was just too much to coordinate. So it was nice. It wasn't 100% back because obviously COVID still was ruining everything, but it was nice. It was a nice, yeah.
So was your brother in town just to go skating?
He was in town for a few days to visit, but we planned because he was in town to make our. That's right, because my brother is now based in Vancouver, so it was nice to be able to do it.
Nice. But, so are we expecting more covers from the two of you, or was it just the skating?
No, there wasn't enough time for that one. There is a new cover for me coming very soon. I was hoping to have it ready by Saturday. I filmed everything on Friday. Actually, I spent all day filming.
Wow.
So it's coming, but so keep waiting. I mean, keep waiting.
Keep waiting.
Keep
your eye out.
Yeah, keep your eye out. That's better. Keep your eye out. New video. I'm thinking I'm going to start editing it tonight. I'm going to edit it all day Monday. It could be ready Tuesday. I'm going to say definitely by Wednesday.
Okay, so you know what that means, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you hit the bell notification button on his channel, so when it does get uploaded, you'll all be notified.
Yeah, I'm quite excited about it, actually.
Me too, because I know what it is.
I know what it is, and I'm happy with how it's sounding, because I got all the audio finished. Now it's just a matter of the video. It's just, I think it's going to be a complicated edit.
You could do it.
Yeah, well, because I think you remember I mentioned on the show before, I'm teaching myself this new editing software. And so I'm about to do a bunch of things with this video that I, right at this moment, have no idea how to do on the software. So I'm going to have to teach myself that. Because I bought a green screen.
Oh, wow. You didn't just plaster stuff behind you?
Yeah, no, this time. Because I had some Bristol board. I was actually filming. Because usually I buy neon green Bristol board, which works pretty well, by the way, people. If you need to do green screen work on the cheap, pop over to Dollarama, a little bit of green Bristol board, you're good to go. Works for me. But I just thought I would like something larger, like to make a green screen that's big enough to cover your entire body. You need like 12 to 15 pieces of Bristol board, and then you're tacking up each one, and then there's obviously the lines in between each piece. So I just thought, let me just jump on Amazon and see, what does that cost, And I found one online, 9 feet by 13 feet for like $35.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it was just a big piece of green fabric, Anyway, I ordered it.
Why didn't you just go to Fabricland?
That actually would have been my next thing. I was curious, but this one, I mean, it's already kind of made for the purpose of it. It was, Anyway, you can't go wrong with the price, and it works great. So I have
And
a
you'll
nice
use
big,
it multiple times.
yeah, exactly. I have a
So.
nice giant green screen now. It was just so nice to have it. Like I was able to put it all the way, drape it off the wall, so it was like way above my head, and then it went all the way down to the floor, all the way, so I could actually stand on it. So anyway, green screen. But now anyway, so I shot everything in front of green screen, and now I have to learn how to do it in this new software.
You
So it's
know
coming.
it was not on a green screen? The Super Bowl halftime show.
Oh yeah, we should talk, because we talked last week about what we thought the Super Bowl halftime show would be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we even talked about how
Our predictions.
our predictions, and we thought what would make it good, what would make it bad. And so maybe we should give our thoughts, our post-mortem of the Super Bowl halftime show. Oh, hey, hi, Abigail McIntosh. Hello, I'm back. I won't be chatting for a sec because I'm eating. That's fine. You know what? We're here to do the chatting. You can enjoy your meal.
Can
and
I
enjoy
have
our
some?
conversation? Yes, and we'll take some of the snacks too, Abigail. Delicious. Okay, well, why don't you go first, Regine? I've been talking this whole time about the rinks. Your thoughts on the Super Bowl halftime show?
Okay, first off, was it the Super Bowl Pepsi Super Bowl halftime show, or was it the Dr. Dre halftime show? Let's be real. It was the Dr. Dre halftime show, which I'm not surprised. Did you hear he actually forked out all the money for it?
I did not hear that. He paid for
So that was all of Dr. Dre's money, which makes sense to why it was all of his production. It was his label essentially was all there. I really enjoyed it. There were some that I was like, why are you here? And then there was 50 Cent, who I was like, yes, welcome. Thank you for making an appearance. I feel bad though, because people are making fun of him. But shoot, if you were upside down for that long, like he literally was waiting upside down the entire time, or like up there the entire time, I'd be pretty bloated and out of breath too. Okay? I'm just saying. Like,
True.
imagine being hung there, like you're literally holding on for dear life so that nobody sees that you're there. So you're doing a major crunch for like 10 minutes, and then you finally release yourself, but then you're still holding on by your legs.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
couldn't do that.
but I don't know if he looked like that exclusively because he was hanging upside down. Like,
I mean, no, but okay, yes, I know he aged. He did not age maybe the way he wanted to. But people were complaining that he was out of breath during his performance.
that could be true.
Dude,
I mean,
if I was upside down, I would be out of breath too.
yeah, because he would have probably had to, at the very least, like hold a position where he's holding himself there for.
He's probably like this the whole time.
Yeah. So, could be that. You know what I think also the problem is that I know myself, like I have not seen 50 Cent
Fitty.
since his heyday. Like I've not seen what he like, whereas pretty much every other artist up there, I've kind of seen them in the media over the years. You know, like even Eminem. Like actually, Eminem pretty much looks the same to me. But like, for example, but he's rocking a beard now, right? And I've seen him, you know, because he's been in the public eye. And same with Dr. Dre. Like even all of them, Mary J. Blige. I've seen all of them recently, so I'm kind of used to what they look like. You know, 50 Cent, Fitty. For me, it was like when you see. It's like I'm used to seeing him, however many years ago he was
toned and jacked. And
yeah. And then you just showed me like it's almost like immediately now you switch the channel. Now I see this guy, and so I haven't seen the transition. So yeah, and so I think what's probably happening is because he's been out of the public eye, the only image people have in their minds of him is, you know, what he
early
looked like.
2000s.
Yeah, 20 years ago almost, right? Or I guess 20 years ago. And then to just see him now, I guess it was kind of a shock for people. But I've got to think, like, if he had been kind of in the public eye and doing reality TV or doing whatever all these celebrities are doing, so we kind of got to see the transition, it wouldn't be as harsh. Also, the internet's very mean, you know, I mean, they just are.
It is mean.
But
it was great. I wish, though, Eminem had more than what he had. Like, I understand that, like, he was at the end, but I wish that they gave him more airtime.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah.
saying. Like, everyone was great. I just wish Eminem had his moment, like, more.
Yeah. Well, I remember that was one of the things we were saying. That was one of
Mhm.
our concerns about it was like, okay, you're going to put all these artists into this show. So what are we going to get? We're going to get a snippet of each of them. And we pretty much got basically one song from each. And then
Yes.
at the end, they all came together on the stage, which is what
What we
we
said would
predicted would happen.
Mhm.
And so I guess, what are your overall, I don't know if you want to give it a score or if you want to just, what your overall thoughts, Regine? What are your things?
I loved it. I've never felt so old in my life watching it, but it makes you remember, like, it reminds you that they don't make music like that anymore. Like, there aren't performers like that anymore. And to realize that that was the very first time hip hop was on the Super Bowl halftime show, first off, is shocking because I grew up listening to them. You grew up listening to them. Like, they were huge. And for them to finally happen in 2022, should have happened in the early 2000s. But I'm just glad that they finally had their moment, that they all made a comeback. I saw somewhere that Mary J. Blige and Eminem are now sober, like X amount of years sober. So to see that and just, I don't know, I really enjoyed it. It pulled on my heartstrings. I'm not going to lie.
Nice.
Yeah. How about you?
I enjoyed it too, a lot. In fact, what I'll say is I wasn't like, I wouldn't have been somebody when they were at their height. I didn't really listen to a lot of hip hop music and a lot of rap
I
music
did.
back then. Yeah. But
Yeah.
but the thing is, I was still, because they were so huge, right?
Mhm.
I still knew all their hits. Like, you couldn't go anywhere without hearing all of them, you know?
Mhm.
And seeing them all now, like all these songs coming out that I hadn't heard in a long time, and also are kind of like, they've just become these classics, like iconic songs, seeing them
Mhm.
performed, I thought it was really great. And the thing that I really liked that I didn't expect, or it didn't occur to me, but there was such a stark difference in this halftime show in the way they chose to make it just more of a concert performance.
Mhm.
Like, for example, every halftime show I've seen in recent memory, they darken the stage, right?
Mhm.
So they almost try to make it like a theatrical performance, they big sets and all the, all this stuff. And they're performing in this big, dark, empty thing,
Mhm.
and this, it felt like it was just a show.
So like a music video, kind of.
Yeah, but well, yeah, I mean, it was cool. The sets were like the
Yeah.
neighborhood and this houses and stuff, which was cool. But there was something, I don't know, refreshing about just seeing, yeah, this is a concert. Here's the audience behind us.
Mhm.
And it was almost more about the music,
Yeah.
which is interesting
Yeah.
because I wasn't sure what I was expecting. I didn't know what I wanted it to be, but I'm thinking now, I haven't seen all of it, but I've seen some footage of like older halftime shows, like say from the 90s or whatever, or even earlier, right? In fact, I can't remember when like Bruce Springsteen, I think, did the halftime show years and years ago, right? And like those shows used to be much less tech heavy. It was basically just,
A performance.
here's the band playing, but there was something about that where it was like, you don't need all this extra stuff. You don't need all this distraction. This is just, here's the music. And the show literally just let the music speak for itself.
Yeah.
I found it really nice. And the thing is, because it was just like, yeah, here are the songs. Here are all the songs that you know, that you've been listening to for years, that everybody knows. These are classic hits. Here they are. And we're just going to come out and do them for you guys.
And it was one of those things where I really appreciated that they paid tribute to California because they were in California. And what I also really liked is what we didn't see on TV, but seeing on social media, like how the celebrities that were there were reacting to seeing their colleagues on stage, because it was nice.
Yep.
And I don't know, the whole Justin Bieber thing was really awkward, but I mean.
Oh, I didn't hear it. What happened with Biebs?
Well, he was just like mouthing out the whole Eminem thing, and there's like videos of him. I'm like, man, that's a little awkward.
Well, he's I mean, definitely Biebs and any of those celebrities now are they're watching their, idols on stage.
Yeah.
So
it was nice. Cool. I really enjoyed it, and I hope that this isn't the last of hip hop on.
I don't think it will be. I think what you said earlier is a good point, and that it's amazing to think that even though Eminem was one of the, Eminem, all those guys were like right at the top of the music world, right, at one time. Mm-hmm. But the idea that they could ever do the halftime show was almost unfathomable, mm-hmm. which is kind of an interesting show of how things have changed a little bit. Interestingly, though, you would wonder, Eminem was always really controversial, especially at his time, right? Like when he was coming out, especially because the stuff he was rapping about and the stuff he was saying and even the language and all that stuff. There would have been an element of like, oh, could he do the halftime show? He's not, family friendly.
But he can. Like, here we are being like, we want more.
Yeah, but I also wonder if
back then, yeah.
Because you've got to think his image would have been so, I'm too, I don't know, badass for this. So there's that element. But mm-hmm. you are right though. The idea that they would have put hip hop on the show, on the halftime stage, it just wasn't something that they would have done. But yeah, I think we'll see more of it. But the thing that I'm hoping we see more of now is a push back to more just a concert. This is a live show. Mm-hmm. There's something about that I just thought was really cool. Like just, and whether it's bands or hip hop artists or whoever you're going to bring out, like bring somebody in who's just going to, yeah, here's my music. Yeah, you love it. Listen to it. Here it is. Mm-hmm. There was just something about it. Like obviously there was good production. There were lots of dancers happening, but there wasn't this attempt to make it into more than it needed to be. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I liked it a lot. Okay, however, yeah. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I was going to change the subject.
Oh, I was going to say, to touch on your point of what you said before, there were some people that you wish weren't there or didn't need to be there. And obviously this is going to depend on who you're all a fan of, but like,
yeah.
For what you said earlier was how you wish you could have seen more of certain artists or more of like, I agree, right? Like, I like the idea of how they made it it was a Dr. Dre show, basically showing all these artists that he produced and he, mm-hmm. he was basically responsible for their success, right? For a lot of them, which was cool. But yeah, if we had seen less of a few, we could have seen more of the ones that were there.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about watching Snoop Dogg perform that just makes me happy. But I just really like him. Like I like him in everything he's in because I can tell he's a very, very funny guy. Mm-hmm. And he comes across as genuinely nice as well. But like everything I've seen him in, he's funny and he can laugh at himself. And there's just something about him that I think the whole show could have been, for me, it could have been Dr. Dre, it could have been Eminem, and it could have been Snoop. And that would have been enough for me. Just, hey, here's a song that everybody loves. Here's another song that everybody loves. Here, remember this song that everybody loves? Here's another one that everybody loves. And they could have just done that. Mm-hmm. And that would have been enough. But I think I said this to you in chat, and you mentioned that you love Mary J. Blige.
Yeah. And I love her, and like I like the fact that she was there and she brought her A game, and there's still so much more music from her that she could have done as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not a huge Kendrick Lamar fan. I know there are a lot of people who are, and I understand that the song that he performed was very powerful and meaningful to a lot of people. So it is what it is. But speaking of Snoop Dogg, did you know that they had warned Snoop Dogg, excuse me, not to wear gang colors because there's Crips and Bloods in California, right? Mm-hmm. So like, don't wear a bandana, don't wear your gang color. He wore a bandana printed blue and yellow tracksuit, which he claims was for the Rams. But
yeah,
it is also a Crip color. I'm just saying.
I mean, that's tough. I mean, that
here
is
we
the
are
color
with
of the
red
Rams.
and blue right now.
Yeah. I'm going to give him a pass on that one. I mean, unless he was like secretly, I mean, they're in LA. It's the LA Rams.
He did it on purpose. I'm just saying. He could have worn anything blue and yellow for the Rams, but he put bandana print on it.
Oh, I see.
Just saying.
You know what? Even that, I kind of like when the artist is like, "Oh yeah, this is what you're going to."
You don't want me to do it? Here, I'll put yellow on it.
Yeah, I mean, there's something
you
about
don't want me
that.
to wear a bandana? I will wear full bandana print.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. I'm fine with it. I mean, yeah, whatever. He was fine. He did a good job. Yeah, Mary J. Blige was good. Kendrick Lamar, I know he's huge. My issue, I think, is he didn't fit in this lineup. In that, if this is supposed to be a lineup of sort of these classic artists, he's kind of right now, which is cool. But I don't know if maybe he was there just because he is one of the biggest right now and all of that. But yeah, I think it was just like I felt like we were looking at one era in music, and then he was kind of there as well, but it didn't need to be.
You know who I would love to see from the 2000s on that stage? Would have been like Nelly. Nelly is still making music. Nelly's still relevant. Nelly still performs. Like, I would have loved to see like Nelly on that screen or that stage or whatever.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see who's there next time. Now, or which R&B hip hop artists are there next?
Yeah, I think we'll definitely see more in the future. It's it's cool. Like, a door has been opened, but what I'm curious if future artists follow this. I don't know if it's not a trend. It's only been done once, but if they try to go again, this idea of just going back to.
So what if Jay-Z brought people on that he produced? That would have been an epic show too.
That could be in fact, Jay-Z could do one, and because he's almost more recent in a lot of ways, or a lot of the artists he's produced are more recent, but he could do that same type of idea. That would be amazing. Yeah. You know, so overall, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I would have liked to see, like, I think what you said, I agree with you. I could have done with more Eminem. I mean, that's the thing. I think I said this last week. Eminem could do his own halftime show. Eminem would come out. He would have to clean up some of the lyrics, obviously, but they seem to be willing to do that, all of them. But like, he could just come out and do like 5 of his biggest hits, and it would be great, you know? So I guess, you know, you just want to see more, and that's why anytime I wasn't sort of seeing those guys, it was cool to see 50. I guess he's just, yeah, he belonged there, but I guess because he didn't have, he hasn't had the staying power that everyone else has had. Like, everyone else has sort of been consistently doing stuff. Mary J. Blige hasn't been consistently doing stuff.
She's been acting.
Yeah, that's the thing. She kind of made a comeback. So like, you know, a few years ago, she started showing up in films and things. So because of that, I was kind of, she was kind of in the public consciousness a little bit more. Anyway, if I had to give it a grade, I would give it an A.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It honestly brought me back to high school, elementary school, listening to their music. And like I said, I wish there was more music like that now, which is probably why my Spotify playlists are all 2000s R&B and hip hop.
There you go.
I don't know what's on the radio anymore.
Yeah, I won't give it an A+. What? Just because, for the reasons I said, I think certain artists didn't need to be there necessarily. I would have liked to see a bit more. Is that being too nitpicky? No, I'm just going to stick with my A. You know what? Fine. I'll give it an A.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
But you know who we could give an A+ to, Scott? Our advertisers.
That's so true, Regine. You know what? Our advertisers get an A+ because they make this show possible. Ladies and gentlemen, today's episode of The Sit Down with Scott Dion Brown is brought to you by the following fantastic advertisers. The Toronto real estate market is growing and changing every day. In these challenging times, you need someone in your corner. Jeanette McKenzie, Realtor at Forest Hill Signature, is committed to looking out for you. She'll go the extra mile to ensure you have all the information you need to make a decision you can feel confident about. Purchasing a home is one of the biggest financial investments you'll make in life. Don't leave it to chance. Call Jeanette McKenzie at Forest Hill Signature. She's my realtor, and she could be yours. Call today at 416-523-0408 or email at JMckenziehomes at gmail.com. Jewelry Forever, conveniently located at CF Markville Shopping Center on 5000 Highway 7 East Markham. They do custom-made jewelry, repairs, and change watch batteries, all done on site. Jerry at Jewelry Forever is an absolute artist. He specializes in making custom, beautiful goods, but they also have a fine selection of things in store already, and we have a great deal worked out with them, don't we, Regine?
We do. If you go in store and let them know that Scott and Regine sent you, you'll get 15% off your entire purchase.
That's right, 15% off, 15%. Go to the store, mention the show, tell them Scott and Regine sent you, get a great deal on something fantastic. Find out more at jewelryforever.ca. And if you would like to advertise on the show, it's very easy, right, Regine?
It's simple. All you guys have to do is email us at radioshowad, that's radioshowad@gmail.com.
That's right. We do the show live every week, people. And we also do the ads live every week. What does that mean? It means that you can personalize the ads week to week.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have an event, a sale, something happening at a particular time, in a particular place? You let us know. We let your potential client base know in real time. It's a great way to build a brand new audience with a brand new audience. Brand new relationship with a brand new audience. Yeah. See, it's live, people. Get in touch. Radio Show Ad, radioshowad@gmail.com. And we're back. We are back.
Mm-hmm.
Regine, you are you're like planning your wedding right now, right? And there's like a wedding boom. There's like a wedding boom happening right now.
Yeah, because all of the weddings that were supposed to happen in 2020 were disrupted by the pandemic, and then it got pushed to 2021. But the pandemic was still here. So now all of the 2020 weddings and 2021 weddings are now in full force into 2022. Before people ask, I had originally planned a 2022 wedding, so I'm not part of that. And I'm really glad that I did. And I'm really glad that I planned 2 years ago, because it's crazy right now. Like, to get a DJ, to get an MC, to get cakes, to get anything is really hard. And because of the pandemic, a lot of production companies, like the ones that do like invitations or custom stuff, are also behind and backlogged because there's nothing available.
Because everyone's playing catch up. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because there's a few weddings that I've got to go to that are going to now be this year. And even some of them are still like, this is our date. It's planned for this date. But obviously things could change. And I mean, for stuff like a wedding where you have to be planned so far in advance, it's really hard to... So how's your planning going?
Let's just say my body is feeling the stress. There was, what was it? I think it was Wednesday that I started to feel like this throbbing pain in my shoulder. And I was like, what is happening? And then I woke up on Thursday and I just couldn't move my neck. And so I went and got a massage, and the masseuse was like, are you stressed? And I just laughed, and I'm like, yes, I am. So
it's well, it's the thing. It's your big day. And I think you're putting like a lot of pressure, right? A lot of pressure on yourself to make it perfect.
Am I? Yeah, I am. It's really bad. Like, I am an event planner outside of being on the sit down. And so having emceed events, having attended different events, having planned different fundraisers and being day of coordinators for different events, it's so hard because I feel the pressure that people are going to expect so much from it. But then I also didn't realize how particular I was on certain things. Like, just the invitations alone stressed me out to the, like, it was, you've received yours. So it's like, I don't know if you've opened it, but
I have.
It's like a geometric shape. And that seems to be a common thing in our decor. but it was like this. And so because it wasn't symmetrical, it was really bugging me. And so
Oh.
I had to work with the designer to try to make it look symmetrical, which at the end it did. But I also worked with someone in the Philippines. So it's Sherry Handicrafts. Shout outs to her. So working with her time zone was also very tricky, but it worked out in the end.
Well, the invitation looked pretty.
Thanks.
It's
Put a lot of effort into it.
Oh. Well, it paid off, Regine.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can see. I can imagine why it would be even almost worse for you, because you are an event planner. You're feeling this thing where you need to make sure that this event that you're planning is like the greatest event ever, right? You feel that pressure on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. I'm trying to think, like times when, well, I know, like when I was putting on like live shows, right? Because I myself was an artist.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm putting on events or like a live, I'm like, okay, I almost feel like it's worse, or like if it goes badly, it's worse because I should know.
Yeah.
And
I've seen you stress over these shows, so you get it. But it's also one of those things, like the MC situation. I was like, man, who do I pick? And everyone is expecting it to be you, but it's not. So we'll see how that goes. I'm a little nervous.
I will say this. I think it's going to go great. Because you are an event planner. So you already, you know what you're doing, right? And the thing that I found about events like this, is you plan for the worst, right? You plan for all the things that could go wrong. But, once you have the right people in place, it just kind of goes. It just kind of goes.
Yeah.
And, I think it's going to be great, Regine. I have every confidence in your abilities.
Thanks. No pressure. It's funny though, because like people will be like, oh, is there anything I can help you with? I'm like, no.
Well, because you need to make sure it's done right. Yeah.
Like it's what? February. The wedding is in July. I've already sorted out the morning of schedule for all hair and makeup. That was hectic in itself. And just trying to coordinate hotel situations and transportation situations. But you know what? It's all good. Invitations are out. There's nothing I can do now. But it was really interesting because I was really worried that Canada Post wasn't going to pick it up.
They did it. The Postal Service
Yes.
Postal Service handled it. It sounds to me like you're like well in advance ready. It sounds like to me anyway.
Well, if you look at the invitation, it says please RSVP by April 1st. The wedding's not for another 3 months after that. But I'm just like, I just need to know numbers.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, I feel like I think you've got this. Like, I'm not. I have a suspicion, and I hope, because I know, like we talked about this even last week, that a lot of times the bride and groom don't get to enjoy themselves on the day. I think you should try, if you can, to make sure you get some enjoyment out of it.
I will. I think, for me, I'm very particular, which is why I'm doing it all now. So that I work in events professionally. So my work has like 5 events that were trade shows in June. So I know that I don't want to mix work and wedding stuff in June, which is why I'm doing it all now, which is why RSVPs are in April, so that I give myself this buffer time from April to June to just chill.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's going to be great. And I know from like an attendee. Attender, is that a word? As someone who's been a guest at weddings, I've been to a few of them. All people really need is like
booze and food.
Yeah, booze and food and a place to sit down. You give them that. Oh, there are no chairs? Make sure you have chairs at the wedding.
No, there's chairs. But I just wanted to let you know, because you are vegetarian, the vegetarian option is pretty bomb. Like, I am picking the vegetarian option. I made sure that it was good. And
Perfect. Well, that's even
It's
better.
a mushroom Wellington.
Nice. Even that actually will put you above a lot of, because I don't know. Sometimes the vegetarian option feels like an afterthought.
No, I made sure it wasn't.
All right, beautiful. I mean, but that's what I'm saying is like, as long as you provide people with like, yeah, booze, food, and a place to sit, that's like 90% of your success, and now everything else is just, fine. Yeah, you make sure this is in place and that, blah, but I've been to, great weddings in very, very simple locations.
Mhm.
And I've been to awful weddings in large scale, so as long as you kind of give people that simple thing, it's gonna be great. And, you're gonna have all your friends and family there, and everyone's there to support you. It's not like people are gonna be sitting there judging you, or you know what I mean. So I think, yes, you're gonna put pressure on yourself, and you should, but try to keep in mind as well that the main source of the pressure is yours, not so much everybody else.
And
we're gonna have a
everyone
great
else
time.
giving me the stress.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have a
Look
great
at this
time.
one.
Oh yeah.
We're not going to talk about that. Yes, don't worry. My next question actually is, now that we're speaking of it, are we going to have a show that weekend?
Yeah, you better be. You better be ready, Regine.
Noted.
No, I'm thinking. The actual day, is it on what day is it on?
It's a Saturday. But
Okay,
you
so I'm
mentioned
thinking
food and booze, and if you're going to be there, so
Yeah.
just so you know, we are doing a fusion of Filipino and Newfoundland traditions. So there will be a screechin ceremony, Scott. So
there will be a what?
A screechin ceremony, something they do in Newfoundland. So it's like a shot of whiskey or something to screech you into the family. So
when you said screechin ceremony, I was like, I'm not familiar with that Filipino tradition.
No, it's a Newfoundland tradition.
Okay, cool. I'm curious. I'm thinking there'll either be no show or we'll pre-tape.
We always pre-tape.
Because it'll be something like, my guess is we'll be feeling not the greatest the next morning. And even if that, it will be tired,
Mm-hmm.
So no, there won't be a show. There won't be a show.
But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. The wedding boom is on.
Yeah, because it was so bad for, I guess, anybody who was in the wedding planning industry had a really tough time the last little while.
Well, I was laid off automatically once this pandemic happened.
There you go. It's like anybody who's in events, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now I guess anybody who's in that industry now, they've probably got too much work. They probably got more than they can. They're probably turning people away, right? I've got to think.
The original decor company that I had worked with initially had to cancel me because her 2020 bride, who had already paid full price, had their wedding on the same day.
Makes sense. So everything got pushed. Yeah, because everybody basically got pushed back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in fact, that would be a struggle, especially if you've got somebody who's okay, you've booked with me, and you're not canceling. We're just going to postpone, and then I guess they have to give priority to the people who they booked first.
Mm-hmm.
So that would suck for anybody who, had pushed, who had booked later.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
But then there's also the venues and all these other places where if you have given a deposit, 99% of the time they will not give you a refund.
Oh.
So, for example, Kate, who is having her debut 2 years later, her debut was her 18th birthday. She's now turning 20.
Yeah.
They're still moving forward with the party because her family would have lost all the money on the deposit.
I don't like that. I mean, I feel like, I understand why they had to do it, but I don't know, something like this, extenuating circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Or there are these companies, like venues, like very popular wedding venues, went bankrupt during the pandemic, did not tell their couples, and did not refund them. Now that's shady.
It's awful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, it's really hard when everything just stops, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of parts of the economy, like just some of it has like permanently changed, right? Like even sort of like say in the financial district, all those restaurants and things that are reliant on like people going to lunch. Yeah. Some of those are just never never coming back because so many people, even to now, are still working from home. And I think a lot of companies, there's going to be some element of their workforce that will just continue to work from home.
Yeah, like
So,
imagine the pathway downtown. Like
yeah,
that whole pathway is for people who work and the buildings above them.
yeah, it's completely reliant on those people being there and going for lunch and going shopping in between. All it's, and I mean, it's slowly. Parts of it are going back. I know even my girlfriend is there. They're starting to move them back into the office. Slowly, starting I think next week, like a few days at a time. But it's still going to have an impact because I think a lot of companies, some of them are shifting to like this hybrid, like you're never going to be in 5 days a week or whatever. Some will never switch back. And I think now that people have gotten a taste of what it's like to just be at home, there's just going to be more and more of a push to not be at the office as long as they used to be. So
No, well, my work, we are no longer in person indefinitely. My mom actually, she works for a well-known bank downtown Toronto, and she works night shifts because she works in foreign exchange, and they told them you are permanently working from home.
there you go.
Which is fine because she can work in her pajamas. Who wants to work downtown at midnight anyway?
Yeah. So is she happy about it?
Because so she works in the atrium, so that area in itself at midnight and throughout the evening is not the safest, so she'd rather work from home.
Atrium on Bay? I think my mom used to work in that building once upon a time. How funny. Anyway, Atrium on Bay, yeah, right downtown.
right where Red Lobster is.
Yeah, there you go. Red Lobster.
I miss downtown.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I think the last time I went was in the summer, and that was so long ago.
I mean, I'm always downtown, but it's
live
definitely changed. But things are coming back. They're starting to feel normal again. Like I was in Eaton Center recently. Again, everybody's still masked, but it's more and more common to not see somebody with a mask, and the security isn't really saying anything to them. And also, they've got these arrows on the ground and they're directing where people go, but there was always like the odd person who was not paying attention, didn't notice the arrows. But now the arrows are kind of just a general guideline. Like you can tell that the systems that are there are becoming less and less followed. So I guess this is just showing what the ending of all this is going to look like. But
if you look at the arrows, they're probably all like scratched up and faded now too.
Yeah, it's sort of the slow end of this system. I really hope that's true, and I hope it is coming to an end. The thing is, it's sounding like people are just done. Like that's almost what will force the end. I mean, obviously the whole trucker convoy thing is happening now, and regardless of how you feel about it, it's definitely having an impact. In the sense that a bunch of provinces are starting to remove their restrictions or have announced dates that they're going to. Ontario was announcing that they're removing theirs, and they've said they're maintaining that's not because of the convoy. But I've got to think if there's enough people, if they're starting to get the sense that this is what people want to happen, then politicians are going to, for the sake of wanting to get reelected and all that and maintain their popularity, they're going to kind of listen. So
it's like Alberta.
Yeah.
Alberta, in the schools, the kids don't have to wear masks anymore.
There you go.
But Alberta's always been like that. Do you notice? Alberta's always been back and forth with the mask mandate. So
I think I think their population has been a lot more resistant to it, I guess. So yeah, I guess that's just why. I don't know. I'm not really sure.
It's just interesting.
If I recall as well, in the early parts of the pandemic, I think Alberta wasn't hit that hard to start, right? Ontario was hit first. And then that's why there was this big shift when suddenly Alberta had this huge rise and Ontario was sending doctors over there because I don't know if it arrived there later. So
and then it hit the East Coast, and then it just And here we are 2 years later.
2 years later.
It's wild.
Yeah. Well, any final thoughts, Regine?
And we didn't do Wordle, but we can do it next week. Or we can do it now. I have time.
Oh, like to try your like to actually play Wordle. Yeah, Wordle's taking the world by. I mean, okay, how can we do it? So how you're gonna hold it up?
I can do it, and then you can help me, and our viewers can help us. So if you're watching and you've already played, actually no, because there might be people watching who want to know who are playing Wordle too. So maybe not. Maybe not. Let's not do it.
I haven't. My girlfriend is playing Wordle. I am not. Haven't done it yet. But it's like the biggest thing ever right now, right? It's the new thing that everybody's doing. I like word games in general. I'm okay at them.
There's just some games. There's some days where like I'll play it, and then I don't even know what the word is. So I'm literally just guessing. I'm like, this might be a word. This might be a word. Oh, I got it.
Oh, like you're like the word. Like even when you get the word, you're like, I didn't know that was a word.
I don't know what the hell this is. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes things more complicated. Yeah. But I mean, it expands your vocabulary.
Yeah, but then I look at it, I'm like, what does this word even mean? And then I don't even look into it because I just move on to the next one.
Yeah, you should like when you see a word that you don't know, you should like look up the definition and then be like, oh, maybe I'll use that in a sentence.
So if I don't know what today's word is, I will Google it and then I will use it next week.
It's a good idea. Yeah, I like that. And don't even tell me what you're doing. Just use the word and I'll be like, oh.
That's interesting.
That's an interesting word. Okay. I watched, so last week we talked about Tinder Swindler and Raju, who was on the show, suggested The Puppet Master. I watched that.
Was it good?
It's pretty good.
Was it worth watching?
Yes, I think you should watch it. Watch the Tinder Swindler first.
Okay.
It's very... So it's about a con man who takes advantage of these women over Tinder. That's what Tinder Swindler is about.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is a lot of people online are like gave the women, the victims, a really, really hard time, like making fun of them for like, either being stupid or being like, or being opportunistic or like, oh, you only fell for this guy, blah, 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 blah. I tend to not agree with that take. It's I think it's part of the reason why it's so, I don't know, cruel what this guy is doing is because it's over Tinder and it's people looking for like love and looking for, he's purposely preying on somebody who's making, like when you go into a relationship and you're trying to go after, you make yourself vulnerable, right? You allow yourself to trust somebody.
Yeah.
And somebody who would purposely prey on that instinct that people have, it's already hard to do that for somebody if you're trying to like, connect. Just find it's really yucky, So anyway, I think if you have time, you should check it out. It's pretty good.
Well, I'm all caught up with Love is Blind, so I need something to watch.
Actually, I gotta watch Love is Blind. Yeah, I gotta watch Love is Blind.
Don't do what I did and binge it all in one sitting.
Yeah. Well, you said they're releasing the episodes in like pieces, like 5 episodes at a time.
Yeah, so they released 5, and then I binged all 5 in a day and a half. And they're like, oh, next episode's coming out February 18th. So what did I do February 18th? I binged all 5 of them, thinking, because I was like, oh, maybe they're doing 1 episode at a time. And then it'd be like, Netflix is like, next episode starting in. So I was like, oh, there's another episode. I kept watching it to see how far I could get. And then right at the weddings, where you find out if they say Love is Blind or not, next episode's coming February 25th. They're like, man, now I have to wait again.
That's interesting. I haven't heard of other shows doing that, because so far what we've been seeing is either they release it every week, or they release it all at once, or they release like 2 halves. So this is interesting that they're releasing like in batches of like 5 each.
Yeah, so what it is like the first 5 are like when they're in the pods and them meeting for the first time, and when they go on their trips and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second batch is them living together. And then the third batch is the weddings.
It's interesting. It's almost like they're experimenting with which format works the best. Because I think we've talked about this before, how, yeah, the idea of binging a whole show is great, but the problem is you really shorten the amount of time that the show is on people's minds. If you have everything come out in once, it's like everyone will talk about it for a week, but then next week we're talking about the next show. Whereas if you extend the release over time, people talk about the show one episode at a time for weeks and months, and you can really drag out the relevance of the show. So it's interesting how they're experimenting with, like, oh, maybe we could do this many at a time, 5 at a time.
Well, it's really cool how they do it though, because it's, they all meet, or they're all doing their pod stuff, and then they meet, and then you got to see what it's like when they live together, and then you see what they're like when they live together, and they're like, okay, now you have to wait until to find out if they all get married or if they don't. So
it's interesting. All right, well, I'll be watching it. I'm sure I will. I mean, like, I did enjoy the first season. I did find myself kind of invested in some of the characters. Like, shows like that, you need to have people you don't like and people that you like and people you're rooting for and people you want to like.
It's literally me, like, oh, she's so annoying.
Yeah. So.
Oh, she's so fake. No, but you know what? You should watch it, because you got me watching it. So now you need to finish what you started.
True. Okay, maybe I'll watch it this week and then we can talk about it more in detail.
No, finish your filming first and then your editing.
That's
and
true.
Then
Okay, so I'll watch it if
Love
I
is
can.
Blind can wait.
Yeah. But I mean, I always have a little bit of time. Like, usually, for example, when we may not binge, but like once we sit down for dinner, even if I'm working on something, like I gotta eat, so usually I'll sit down. We'll watch an episode of something while we're
just don't
eating.
do what I did and sit there and watch 5 hours straight show
Could happen
on a Saturday and then wake up for the sit down exhausted.
Well, you binged 5 episodes and I skated 5 rinks, and we're both exhausted, Regine.
There you go.
All right, well, I think we're gonna wrap it up, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
We both got stuff to do. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the chat. Let us know, what do you think of these shows? Tinder Swindler. Have you been watching anything cool? Have you had any issues with your wedding planning situations, wedding experiences? And what were your thoughts on the Super Bowl halftime show? Let us know.
I'm like,
All
is he going to finish his sentence or not?
We both did. Good. At the same time. Regine, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on my YouTube channel for The Pageant Sit Down, where I interview beauty pageant contestants, coaches, directors. We are going live this Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Annie Ho, your Ms. Galaxy PL Region 2022. Link is in the description. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and sometimes Twitter at It's Regine Alaina. And if you'd like to follow me to the International Galaxy Pageant, which is happening a month after the wedding, more stress on that end, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Mrs. Galaxy Southern Canada 2022. Where can people find you, Scott?
You can find me right here where you're watching this very video. YouTube.com/Scott Dion Brown. Check out my latest song cover, God Gave Rock and Roll to You, covered by myself and my brother Taylor the Brown. And I'm quite happy with how that one turned out. And coming this week, hopefully in the next few days, a brand new cover.
I'm so excited.
So hit subscribe, hit like, youtube.com/Scott Dion Brown. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Scott Dion Brown, on TikTok at Scott Dion Brown Official, but YouTube is the best place. It's where you get everything, the gaming, the music, the vlogs, all of it. youtube.com/Scott Dion Brown. Thank you all for being here, people. Regine, good chatting.
Yes, I'm going to also just say one thing. If you all have been watching previous episodes, you should get a hint to what video Scott is talking about.
Oh, actually, you know what? Yeah. And one of my chats, some people were asking about what video it was, and I gave some hints, and they clearly knew what video it was. So if you watch that conversation too, you can definitely get enough clues that. Anyway, or
if you realize how excited I am, you should also know what we're talking about.
There you go. So hopefully I can deliver. I'm pretty happy with it. Like, so the audio's done and I'm happy with it, which is all of it. Really, for me, if the audio is there, then it's good. But I still need the video needs to. Anyway.
It'll be great. We can't wait. So again, everyone who's tuned in, hit the bell to be notified when that video is out, or else you'll miss out.
There you go. All right, everybody. We will see you all next week. And I will see you guys tomorrow for some Brawlhalla. And Regine will see you guys on Wednesday on her channel. So we'll see you all soon. Cheers, people.
Bye.